Alright, hello. Before this video begins, I want to say two things. First of all, I'm still working on the POX video, so I'm putting this out, which is going to be quick and easy. And second of all, the weapon that I'm going to speak of today is not better than my Magistar or the Techrot. But look at this clip real quick. Chat, has anybody tried the Volnus unironically from you here? Cause 244 million is kind of insane. I don't know, if you ask me, that's kind of good. Alright, so on my original recording, I didn't really enjoy the way I kind of explained how the Volnus works. So the Volnus on the actual Limbo build, we go see it. This is after recording the video, so the build was changed, but the build that I was using on Limbo during that survival mission was this one without the Riven mod I own. Now, with this build and Limbo not having any type of damage buffing ability because his third ability is subsumed for silence, therefore we cannot use his third ability Augment Rift Torrent to actually get ludicrous amounts of damage. And with this build, we are not actually getting any benefits from it. And since the weapon can actually deal that much damage without any kind of damage buff, then you can imagine how it can do with an actual Warframe to pair alongside it. So usually my main use for Volnus was to use it alongside Gara. And because I used it alongside Gara, obviously the main build I'm using is using Wrathful Advance, is going to buff it anyway. This is mainly for the first ability, but sometimes energy is not enough. It makes sense. So instead of just using Wrathful Advance and spamming one, I can use Wrathful Advance, Naira's Anguish, and use Volnus Prime. Now, why Volnus Prime on Gara and not Magistar or Techrot? Simply because on Gara you get plus 100% radial slam attack damage. This is additive, sadly, to Pressure Point, but this is basically an extra half Seismic Wave mod, which is absolutely insane if you ask me. So in total, this does increase your damage by a lot on Gara, and because the way Volnus Prime works, it is a very heavy slash based hammer, which when you slam attack, the hammer it tends to do a slash proc. And because of Weeping Wounds and Galvanized Elementalist, increasing the base status chance above 100%, adding melee afflictions will make that every slam does the 10-meter radial attack with the initial damage, and then a pretty much guaranteed slash proc because we have above 100% crit chance, and this is a slash heavy melee. So, in practice, all you see is just slam the ground, slash proc, and then enemies either die to the initial slam or the slash proc. If you have a very powerful setup, then enemies will most likely die to the slam damage, as you're going to see in the video. If you have a kind of weaker setup, then you will see some really crazy numbers when it comes to the slash proc. And if they actually somehow survive the slam damage on a good build, then the slash proc tends to go absolutely ludicrous. I will spoil it on the recording itself. I have some clips of me doing damage cap with it because I wanted to test it to see how much damage I will do. So you will see that live. Enjoy the rest of the video. Let's go see how that looks in action, shall we? Now Gara has had a lot of buffs through the latest Techrot Encore update and the update to pseudo-exalted and exalted weapons, and is in general one of the strongest Warframes in the game right now. Definitely on that. But this is something that I usually did bring along Gara whenever I had issues with energy and I couldn't keep an uptime on it, because of how robust and absolutely insanely strong it is. Now, for survivability, I have paired a Slive Opophala. So whenever I bullet jump, you're gonna see that icon on the top right, which makes me partially invisible. Not exactly, but that's kind of what it does. And this means that, I can be a bit more safe while playing. Now, obviously there's a lot of investment and it's definitely too much for these enemies. These enemies do get one tap regardless of me using regardless of me using the actual Wrathful Advance ability or not. and they will generally just die. But for the people that don't die, you see some interesting 2 million damages very easily. And it can generally go way more crazy if we add viral procs and roars and all of that good stuff. So yeah, very cool. The buff you see, by the way, for the melee exposure is coming from the actual exalted weapon, which I've built for in this build, and I have an actual, not build video for it, but I have a video covering all of the pseudo exalteds, and you know, it can do this, so if you want to see that, that's pretty cool. You could go and check that out. But yes, if I ever would run out of energy, I could easily just straight up swap to the Volnus and just do this, because the damage is just way too much, and it's pretty cool in my opinion. Now yes, overall with Gara, this is like maximum investment. It literally does not go further than this. I slammed upwards. Sometimes that happens. I'm not sure how that happens, but sometimes that happens. And yeah, in general, it is a very solid weapon. We're gonna say here till the Acolytes once, so we can see that in action. You know, this is the classic slam, well, the brainload slam builds in general, but this one's kind of cheap, new player friendly in my opinion. Like, even if you don't own the Volnus Primer, you're like, okay, it's vaulted. It is one of the cheapest primed weapons to get, because simply, the parts, which consist of 3, are all fairly easy to get on it. I'm gonna show that after, but as you can see, when you are starting this thing up, it has a constant slash proc on its heavy attack, and that is extremely nutty. It's basically guaranteed. Plus on Gara, while you have Splinter Storm up, your second ability, getting close to the enemies gives them a Bane mode debuff. Or, you know, pressing it on the enemies actually, my bad. That gives them a Bane mode debuff, which makes them one-shottable. And with her 4th ability Augment, you can spread this to pretty much everyone. If you want to. Obviously this build is not focused around that, but you can probably see the vision, I assume. Loads of synergies working together and absolutely breaking it. Yeah. Considering this is without Riven, cheap builds, and you don't need to do something crazy like, okay, purple shards on Gara, you mean, like, sure. But at the end of the day, I don't need the purple shards, and I don't really need the Wrathful Advance either to do this much damage. Now for the Acolyte part, if he lets me, then yeah, that's... Normally that might not happen, but the slash proc is gonna kill him. It's very powerful. You know, it is, in fact, pretty cool. The fact that the slash proc is basically guaranteed as well, it makes this one of the most unique hammers and slam weapons in the entire game. I don't know of any other hammers. I tried like the Kota Motovor, which is the new hammer to be built like this, but it seems like the actual damage weighting from status effects might be bugged, because I can reach way over 100% status chance, and me slamming it to the ground doesn't generate as many slash procs as this weapon, besides having higher crit chance, or higher status chance, sorry. So, you know, that was kind of disappointing. I'm not sure if it's some kind of bug, it probably is. And I really wish they fixed that, but in terms of using a slam and actually generating slash procs from the slam so you can generate afflictions, similar to how the Techrot generates an electric proc and then you can use afflictions on the Techrot. Yeah, this is really cool. Now, Slash, you may be like, okay, Slash is kind of doo-doo, but you have to think here that even if you say this, Slash did not actually get nerfed, the enemy HP got buffed, and then we got Elementalist modes. Now, for this specific hammer, Elementalist modes are mandatory, so it really doesn't matter. So we're gonna do one more run, and this time I'm gonna add the Riven mode on it. The Riven mode has quite a bit of the stats going on. So basically, it bypasses the need for Weeping Wounds, so we're replacing that, and we're getting 1.72 Bane mode, which is quite a lot. Now, there is some variations to the original build that I could make. For example, Killing Blow. Instead of Killing Blow, I could easily go for Bane mode to up the damage even more, or the original build. But it is really not needed. I think Bane modes are not something you get much as an early game player. Like this Bane mode you won't really have as an early game player. So if I make this video, kind of try to sell the weapon as a kind of early game heavy weapon that you can use and get a lot of value out of it, and then when you actually try it, you're like, okay, and now I need the Prime Smite mode. It's like, yeah, that's kind of shit, isn't it? But I mean, you can, in theory, the simple Smite Grineer, that probably is still better than Killing Blow, but at the end of the day, this is way more accessible. So now with the Riven mode, replacing Weeping Wounds, as we said, we have way more damage, and I will actually not go Gara here. I will go something that will boost its damage even further. Actually, you know, I recently changed some purple shards I had on one of my wisps to give these to Gaia, and I think I'm gonna give them back to Wisp for this showcase only. Let me skip to that point. Alright, beautiful. So, now that we actually do have a very solid melee Wisp build here, we're gonna go ahead, use it. So, Crepuscular Fury, the best two arcanes for melee Wisp, obviously, because when you're using something like melee Wisp, you are most likely invisible in the air. And when you're doing something like this while you're invisible in the air, it takes around 0.5 seconds for Wisp to become visible once it hits the ground. So between slams, you actually benefit from the critical damage of Crepuscular and the ability strength constantly, which is pretty great. So, with this, we can actually go ahead and equip our Volnus Prime and see how good it is. Also, I just realized this build that I have, even with the Riven mode, is only 2 Forma. That is great. Compared to my Magistar of 6, that is very cheap. That's not really a point. Magistar is still better, but damn, this is a very cheap build. It's probably gonna be a bit too overkill like this already. Like I can completely tell that anything will not survive this, but I really want to see if we can somehow get a slash proc going. Now, you know what? Let's take it one step further. Give me Panzer Vulpafala to spread viral. Because why not? Let's get funny. Let's get funny, you know? So, yeah. This is probably the most maximum investment I would do on the weapon. You can probably invest even more into this than what I did, but I will literally go into the highest level mission. I don't even think we're gonna see any type of slash procs from the enemies. Maybe we will, because there are corpus enemies in this. Since we are like fighting the Orkin, there are shields in this. So we might actually see some slash procs. Also, we will not see slash procs on the first kills. That makes sense. Yeah. So, let's say Grandpa on the map. We know he's here. Boom. So it seems like I can't actually see the slash proc. Normally corpus enemies get 2-tapped by the Magistar, but because I am using this that has a slash proc, it actually does 159 million damage. What the fuck? The hell? I guess that guy had 10 stacks of arrow. And mind you, the slash proc was gonna be way harder than the actual damage, so... yeah. I don't think we're gonna see any slash proc, sadly. I would want to see, like, a really big slash proc here, but... you know, I don't see it happening, honestly. I really don't see it happening. Although, you gotta admit that the damage that you saw, that was very impressive. And you can probably get a way better Riven than mine, to be honest. Like, if you get Crit Riven and then Bane, then you can probably outsource the status chance somewhere else and then you're good to go. Maybe outsource status chance instead of killing blow, that should be fine, and then, you know, you're kinda gone. So yes, this is pretty much the maximum investment for the Riven that I have. And it's doing, well, incredibly well, as you can see. Some crazy damages. Like, genuinely. Overall, this is a really solid weapon that I don't really see anybody using. Like, the other day, I was streaming and I asked my chat, does anybody use this weapon from chat? I had literally one answer saying no, and the others just like ignored the question completely because they probably didn't even know what the bonus was to begin with. Like, this weapon is so underutilized and so underrated. And it genuinely does so much damage. So much damage. I really wish you guys could see the slash procs here, because the slash procs could literally go for 1 billion if we actually got them. Maybe the Thrax units. My last hope is the Thrax units, to be honest. I know the Sentients can also get slash proc, but those have some kind of attenuation by resisting it. We might see it on the Sentients, but the Thrax units are my hope. My last hope. Yeah, even the Eximus unit just kinda dies from it with this build. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Slam. I don't find it fun as a mechanic, as gameplay. A lot of people do. More power to them if they can actually play this. Wow, I did 23 million to that guy without having roar. Or good amount of initial combo. But yeah, it's no, it's not my cup of tea to actually do slam attacks. I don't really prefer it. I acknowledge how broken it is, obviously. I did a melee video. I ranked hammers as second place, and the only weapon that I did rank above the hammers was the Falcor, and only the Falcor. I don't think glaives in general are better than hammers, but I do think that Falcor is by far the best melee weapon in the game. It is... that weapon is something else. As it is currently, there is no chance for anything else to come close. Alright, Sentients coming soon. We could be seeing interesting stuff with the Sentients, maybe. Hopefully. Yeah. Did I... okay, there we go. Let's see. No sir, he just... I'm not sure. Well. Not sure. I think I saw 70,000 slash proc, which obviously sentient. Alright, there we go. Oh no, he did the thing. No. I actually hit him with it too. Okay, I think I saw like 1.3 million, I'm not sure. God damn it. Well, we will never see what the flash procs really were, because the initial damage is way too much to begin with. So, yeah. That is pretty funny. Alright, wait, heavy gunner. Surely, right? Not a chance. Okay, well, I give up. If the heavy gunner just straight up dies, even from like 0 initial combo, I just give up, bro. There is no way in hell we're ever gonna get an actual slash rock going. These guys just absolute, they just die. It's okay though. That's probably even better because, yeah. I think the only chance for me to actually showcase a good slash rock was if I was doing it on one of those corrupted enemies. Where, you know, they were on a fissure and they get corrupted at that moment where they don't take damage during the corruption phase. Maybe we can test it there. I'll try to test it there, and if I don't actually make it, then we give up. I really hope this works. I really hope. I really want to see how much damage that slash proc does. As if on Limbo it does 260 million, then on this, oh my god. Reception, mobile defense, void blood. Let's do the survival. Let's pick whatever. Please work. Like, please work. That's actually how I got the damage number on the Limbo clip itself, so I really hope it actually happens. Okay. Let's stack it real quick. Alright, now we go find... No, they corrupted behind me. Oh, damage cap. Yep, that is what I expected exactly. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That is quite exactly what I expected. Let's see it again. That's... Oh, there was the Guardian Eximus, 90% DR to all the nearby units. But yes, damage cap is exactly what I expected, to be honest. So yes, that's why I'm saying that, you know, this hammer could be very, very interesting if you want to use it. It's free damage cap. That's all I'm saying. I don't even have like the most goldroll Riven possible, and my Magistar does not damage cap there. My Techrot with stacks has damage cap there, but this already does like close to Techrot damage without stacks. But then the dot is damage cap that goes through armor and everything, which is yeah. You be the judge if you want to try this out. I think this is pretty amazing, to be honest, and I think on Gara with max investment, this could be extremely funny. But yeah. This works just like this, and one last time the build. This probably is my favorite hammer in the game. I think it's extremely underrated, and even though it's not as good as the top 2 hammers in the game, it is still really fun, and I would easily place it at 3rd place after that, because its damage is way higher, but the issue with the game is right now that the enemies are not tanky enough to warrant this type of damage. But if you like seeing big damage numbers, this is great. You know, if you're a junkie like me, this is great. So, thank you very much for watching another video of mine, and I will see you on the next one.